Then I choose you.
Be cool, baby, okay?
Hey, bitch, come here. Got your motherfucking man, come here.
Mr. Pretty Tony, I mean, you know the rules of the game. I mean, your bitch just chose me. Now we can settle this like you got some class, so we can get into some gangster shit.
Fuck being on some chill shit. We go 0 to 100, nigga, real quick.
Yo, what up? Happy New Year. I'm back. This is at KMGZ on Twitter. This is Thanks for Asking KellzPodcast, episode 328. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody had a great New Year. I know everybody tired of talking about the New Year, so let's just move on. All right. Let's start out. Yours in negritude. I have a few. The main one, though, is going out to Philly. It's going out to Philadelphia, PA, for several reasons. The Eagles, I mean, look, it wasn't pretty, but we did what we had to do. We won the NFC conference. We have the bye week. We have our injured players coming back. Jalen, unfortunately, had to play in that game. Look, it is what it is. The Gardner Minshew had to win basically one game out of three. Couldn't do it, so we had to bring Jalen back. Jalen did what needed to be done. You know, I think the best teams in the playoffs are the Niners, the Eagles, the Bills, and, you know, you can't never count Brady out, but, I mean, I think those are the top three teams. I'm not taking anything away from the Niners. The Niners look a lot like we did in 2017. I think if we play our best game, though, we can beat them. Anybody been watching football all season, you know the three games that the Eagles lost, we beat ourselves. No team beat us. We was fumbling. We was turning the ball over. We was getting penalties, taking touchdowns, scores off the board. We had another one. It wasn't our fault. It was a terrible call by the referee. But, you know, when we play how we supposed to play up to par, I don't think there's anybody in the NFL that could beat us. So we'll see. Also, Quinta Brunson and Abbott Elementary, who cleaned up at the Golden Globes. You know, it's just been a good couple weeks for Philly. You know, I'm never moving back there, but it's the city that I was born and raised in, and everybody from Philly take big pride in it because there's a lot of, you know, dope people from Philly, and we do dope shit. All right. Riri is back. Rihanna, we all know she doing a Super Bowl halftime show, but she finally came back with her own little thing that she put together saying, all right, bitches, it's been 6 years. I'm ready now, and I'm coming. I don't think that means new album. People been speculating. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know who she's going to bring out the Super Bowl. I'm assuming she's going to bring out A$AP Rocky. Look, I don't got nothing against the man. I don't like him. I don't not like him. I've just never been a big fan of his. I don't see it for him. I don't get, he seems like a nice guy, I guess. I said before, I don't see it for him. I don't see what the big deal about him is. I'm not a big fan of his music. I hate the way he dresses most of the time, although he did look nice on the Golden Globes. It's red, because you know why? Because they're on a regular tuxedo. Rocky is one of them, these new fashion, quote fingers fashion kids that are not really fashion kids. Like, you don't really have any style or no fashion. You're just putting on, like, the hot shit. Like, oh, this is the, you know, like, these motherfuckers that go to these goofy ass fashion shows and just put that shit on. It's like, you know what I'm saying? That's what he is to me. I'm sorry. Like I said, I ain't got nothing against him. I just, whatever. You know, he smiles and stays quiet. So I guess that's a lot, the way a lot of these other fucking famous black women's men be carrying on. Okay, so those were the yours and negritude. So let's get started. Oh, I might be a little rusty, but we're going to work it out. All right, so I got a couple things to talk about. What do I want to do first? Because a lot of them are since we were talking about the Golden Globes, a lot of them are related to that. So do I want to do that first? Yeah, let's do that last. Okay, so I wanted to say, so, you know, there's been a lot of articles coming out. Like, we have this phenomenon of incels, and like these, you know, every other tweet, every other article, whatever newspaper article is some 45-year-old man who's alone, telling single women that, you know, they're lying to themselves because they're lonely. And all the studies have been done, all the articles have been written, all the stats have been shown. Black women are more highly educated. They have better jobs. They make more money. Their futures are brighter because they have more degrees and they have, steady careers. And black men do not. Okay? They don't have the percentage of black men in college is extremely small. Anybody that's going to college knows that. The number of graduates is even smaller than that. And the number of professionals, doctors, lawyers. I mean, for black people across the board, it's very low. I think something like 5% of the country, of attorneys in the country are black. I don't know what it is for doctors, but generally it's just very low. Generally, and so when you figure black men into it's even lower. So they are black women have soared past them, and women generally. It's not just black people. We talking about black people, and I think it's even more. It's happening on the Caucasian side too, but I think it's definitely more stark on the black side. And it's been talked about for years. And I mean, I was born in the 70s. I'm an 80s kid, 90s, Gen X. And I mean, ever since we first stepped foot in preschool that I can recall, we have been told that we need to get a college degree. We need to get education because jobs in the future, blah, blah, techs and robots and flying cars. And, you're going to need a college degree just to be a secretary, which sounded ridiculous at the time, but now is actually true. It's probably still ridiculous, but it's true. Because I don't think you need a college degree to be a good receptionist or answer phones or take files and none of that shit. I think any well-trained high school student can do that, but whatever. That's always been the message, and I took that shit very seriously because I'm Gen X. We grew up in the crack era. I mean, I remember the 70s. I was a little kid, but I do remember. And we have inflation now, but I remember back in the day they had inflation, and I never knew what inflation was. I didn't know what it meant, but I only knew it was a thing because they used to talk about it on the Jeffersons all the time. We used to watch the Jeffersons, and George and Weezy would always be talking about inflation. So I don't know what it was. I never knew what it was, and they would talk about it on Good Times. I never knew what inflation was, but I just knew it was something. And then, when you would, parents or whatever, watch the news, this was Jimmy Carter when I was a little kid. The first election that I remember being aware of is when Ronald Reagan beat Jimmy Carter. So when I was born, I don't know who was president when I was born. I will have to look, but I don't think it was Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter only had one term. But he was president when I was little, right? When I lived with my mom, he was president because they would talk about him on, TV and shit. I think Ford might have been president when I was born. I don't know, because I remember them mentioning him too. I know it wasn't Nixon, because that was before my time. It might have been Ford. I don't know. I was born right around Watergate, so I'm not really sure how all that worked. But anyway, I don't think it was Nixon. So from that time, from all I can remember, college, you needed a college degree, and it was really driven home as I got older. We got older as kids. We were in elementary school in the 80s and stuff, and high school, pushing into the 90s because, Reaganomics came through, and, they dropped crack everywhere in the black neighborhoods anyway, and the unions were decimated. They called Ronald Reagan a union buster because he busted up all the unions, and that's what allowed, after the post-war boom, the 40s or the 50s, 60s, and into the 70s, is what allowed middle class, the fucking post-war boom where you could be working down the Piggly Wiggly as a cashier and own a house because, they, unions, you made enough money and they would tie your mortgage to your pension. So they knew if you worked at, whatever, Ford, and you had a 30-year pension, that, okay, we can get them a 15-year mortgage and a 30-year mortgage because we know that they gonna have this steady job because they have the unions. They're not going to be fired, and we know that they'll have money. So that was how that occurred, right? Problem was at the end of, and I mean, like I said, I think it was Reagan, but I believe that it kind of, if you watch any kind of documentary on it could be anything really, the mob or anything from that time period. I want to say from the between 70 and 80, which is weird because it's the 70s. We talk about the 80s and the 90s, but from what my understanding, the 70s was a very tumultuous decade. A lot of shit happened in a lot. That Jonestown shit, the shootout, the Black Panthers, all that shit with a lot of shit happened during the 70s, before my time, but apparently it was a big decade. And if you watch any documentary on that decade or anything, they always talk about that, talk about how, the companies, like, particularly in Detroit, like, if you watch any documentary, there's a couple of them on Detroit, and, like, either the crime or the drug dealers or just anything, they talk about how the corporations, due to, this new, corporate raider takeover shit that happened in the 80s, how the companies started, and because of, like, years of neglect, and, like, the mafia was very entwined in the unions and was, like, stealing from the pension funds. Anyway, they didn't have enough money. So all these promises that had made people, hey, come work for us 1950, come work for us for 20 years, you retire, we give you this pension for the rest of your life. Well, they ain't had the money for it. So what happened was they started reneging on those deals. They started laying people off like a week or two before pension. So they worked their whole life thinking they gonna get this pension. They had nothing. And that's a lot of what led to Gen X, us being how we were. Like, oh, we saw that happen to our parents. I didn't, but people saw that happening to their parents or their grandparents, depending, because even I think it was working, like, even if you retired, like, say you have retired already, like your grandfather had worked down Ford or wherever, the coal mine, wherever the fuck, since like the 40s, and so he had retired in, like, the 60s or whatever, he was getting a pension. What they say is, like, even that, like, if say he was getting, I don't know, whatever a pension would be, $1,000 a month, I don't know how it works, but let's say that they say even that, either they would, like, stop paying him, or he would get a whole lot less. So it was affecting a lot of people, right? And now if if your mortgage or whatever is tied to that, or your house, whatever, your bills, whatever you're doing, sending your kids to college, whatever you're trying to do is tied to that pension that you were promised for the rest of your life that you worked for. It's gone now. It fucks everything up, right? Now you can't afford to pay for your house, or you can't afford repairs. So it started with all of that shit, from what I understand. Is why, because we have this big discussion that people are like, oh, everybody went and got college and student loan debts, and that's what y'all, there's a reason why people went to college, because when we were coming up, blue collar was not what it used to be, and you could not get a job unless you wanted to be down to Wendy's or McDonald's. All these jobs y'all talking about, UPS, and even them, they didn't pay that well. And well, I think UPS might have had a union, but like those jobs just didn't exist. There wasn't no factory jobs because they were all up going to Japan. All the car makers closed up all the factories, and wherever they had them at, Middle America, Texas, the oil companies, corporate America in the 80s was all about greed. It was all about money. It was Reaganomics and trickle down economics, and the middle class got pinched the fuck out. So that is why the message to us as children were like, hey, high school's not going to be enough. You're not going to be able to graduate. By the time y'all get graduating from high school, 91, 2, 3, 4, 5, whenever it's going to be, in the 90s, a high school diploma is not going to cut it. That's only going to have you flipping burgers, right? So, women, that was a whole, I just wanted to give y'all the background to what I'm about to say. Women, females, girls, all the studies show and all the articles show, took that to heart. And we all, and different things happened, like Title VII and different stuff that allowed, because for a long time women weren't allowed in schools. All of that got passed and allowed women to go to college and do different things that they weren't able to do before. So females, women, girls took advantage of it. And so now in 2022, there's a situation, I think the last stat I saw was like 70% of white women, maybe 80%, it was some high number, and like 70, actually white women, it might, no, because still a lot of people don't have degrees, but I think it was like 70%, and black women, it was like 60, 65, a very high percentage have at least a college degree. And then when you go on the male side, white men, I think it was like 20 or 30%, some low ass number, and black men, it was like 5 to like, just the drop off was steep, right? And so now you have a situation 2022 where you have women 30s, 40s, even 20s sometimes, definitely 50, 60, who they had careers. I mean, they had degrees, sometimes advanced degrees. They built a career on themselves. They own their own home. They don't need a husband to support them, and they don't want to have to take on some man who's not only not educated, doesn't have any of that going on. And They just rather be by themselves. Like, listen, my favorite thing to say is I could do bad all by myself. I don't understand these women who want to bring a dude in, help him build. Oh, well, we gonna build together. I help you. We gonna grow together. Why? You can grow in your soil. I can grow in my soil, and we can walk off together. Like, why am I help? I don't need you to do bad. Like, I can struggle to pay rent on my own. I cannot pay rent on my own. I can get evicted on my own. Like, I never understood that shit. Now, if y'all get married and both of y'all got something going on and both of y'all saving, I get that. Like, I get that. But, like, women are like, nah, bro, I don't want to move you in. You work down in, Pep Boys, you make $9 an hour. And then I'm working all day. I'm making all this money. I come in, and you still think you supposed to get treated like your grandpa in 1940, who paid all the bills and everything else, and your grandmama ain't have to work. Yeah, your grandmother did all the housework. Yeah, your grandmother took care of the kids. Yeah, because your daddy paid for everything. Your granddaddy paid for everything. All the bills were paid. The refrigerator was full. The vacations was paid for. The cars was in the driveway. The gas tank was always full. Whenever mama, grandmama, big mama wanted to order a new curtain or new dining room table or whatever it is, she could do it. The money was there. So yeah, dinner was ready at 5. But you niggas want to pay go half on everything or not even half on everything and think you supposed to come home and sit and play the game all day while your wife, who worked the same number of hours as you, is cooking dinner and doing all this and taking care of the kids and nah. So that's not going. So what I wanted to say on all of that is there's a piece of that I think is getting overlooked or not mentioned or just not written about or just not tuned into, and it's this. And it really clicked for me. This is going to be super random. It really clicked for me when I was watching All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a really good movie on Netflix. It's a foreign language movie. And it should have won at the goddamn Golden Globes. They gave it to that boring ass Argentina movie, which I also watched, which is dry as a motherfucker. But anyway, it was All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a classic book and movie, but this is like the latest iteration. And it said at the end, they did the little summary of the war, and it said in total, 17 million people died in World War I. And I was astonished. I know, if you know history, I always tell you that's the most bloodiest war. I mean, if that more people, that was like even more than Civil War and more than World War II, they say World War I. And it has a lot to do with how they fought trench warfare and just the way shit was back then. So I always knew that was the most costly war as far as lives. But 17 million, dog, that's a lot of fucking people. But it made me think, what the missing piece is? Women go to school, and they got education, and they got careers, and they got able to break out of the old housewife mold that nobody really worked for nobody but men. And they got to, a lot of them, do things they want to do and expand into careers, and that's what fulfills most women, makes them happy. Men need to go to war. Men need to go to war. Men need to build things. And I know this is probably going to sound sexist, and it might be, but I'm sorry. If it's sexist, it is what it is. I just personally think that these dudes, these new cats, whatever you want to call them, I just find them very yuck. I just find them very gross, because you have grown ass 30, 40 with these podcasts and all this old juvenile, immature ass shit. When nigga, you need to go join the military. You need to go join the Army, Navy, Marines, something, put on a uniform, go out to the world and fight people, and hopefully don't die, but something, so that you can come back and have some sense of purpose and some sense of pride. That's what's missing. That's what the problem is. That's why you have so many, and again, I know I'm gearing into stereotypes and the gays gonna kill me, but I'm sorry. I'm gonna say it. Sassy and emotional, and and please, y'all, do not be in my mentions. I'm not saying this in a homophobic way. Y'all know what I'm saying, but like, just not manly. And if you look, nigga, if you want these newfangled new niggas, I don't have to be a manly. That's fine, whatever. We never gonna rock with each other, because I think that's a bunch of bullshit. But whatever. Do you? I'll do me. Me personally, it has nothing to do with sexuality. It has nothing to do with any of that. I just think that certain I just don't think men should be women, and I don't think women should be men. And again, it's across, like, even me, even like studs, dykes, whatever you call it, masculine presenting, like, but we're like, I don't be out here like, it's certain things that, like, I don't like to. In other words, I don't like taking out the trash. I will take it out, but I don't like to me, the way I was brought up, that's, boys do that, right? Like, now it's not, I'm going to say it's a boy's job, no, but like, if it's me in the house, and my cousin who's a man, or my uncle who's a man, or my daddy, or whoever, my friend, whatever, I'll be like, hey, can you take trash out? Not that I won't take it out, but like, I feel like you should take it out. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. And I just feel like there are certain things that men should not do, and it's okay, and I just feel like they don't have a purpose. That's what I'm trying to say. That a lot of men don't have a purpose. They don't have a feeling of accomplishment because they're, you know, they don't have the degrees, they don't have the careers, and sometimes those careers are not for everybody. Honestly, I think a lot of men be behind desks unhappy because they really want to be out, you know, hunting, whatever the fuck men used to do, hunting, scavenging, whatever you should do. And I'm just saying, I think that's the in the 60s, in the Vietnam War, when they dropped the draft and shit, because don't let these motherfucking baby boomers they wasn't marching for peace. They just didn't want to go to war. And I think dropping the draft was a mistake, because I think that men need that. They need something that they can do. Oh, look at all these cops. What are they out here? All want to be heroes and good guys. Like, it's so ridiculous. They shooting people because they scared to death, but they want to be heroes and good guys so bad. They want to have a feeling of purpose, so they go join the police department. They're not supposed to be on the police department because they shaky as motherfucker. I think that we need to bring back the draft. I think men need to go to war. I think men need to go to the army. I think men need to go do service, go be a lumberjack, something, so that y'all so that y'all can stop being these fucking on these dating sites and apps and getting all this fucking surgery trying to make yourself taller because you're doing things that everybody, but men especially, these incels and everything, they're all trying to do superficial things to make up for the fact that they don't have any character, they don't have any personality, they don't have any charisma, they don't have any they don't know how to function normally in society. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And they're out here getting all kind of surgeries and in the gym trying to bulk up because they think if they get muscles, then it's going to make them not lame. You're still lame. And I just think that military service, or I don't know, this America, is other countries have so much stuff you can do, but here we really just had military. It'll give you the purpose, and if you want to be a hero, you can have all the opportunity to go be a hero. And what that does is, like, after World, if you notice, like, well, we don't notice because we was too old, but after World War II, when guys came back, and I'm talking about the ones that came back, not the ones that were shell-shocked, that had all the problems, because we always focus on them, but that's a small majority. The majority of your grandfathers and great-grandfathers and uncles and everybody else that came back from World War II built a life and were just fine, and had worked and were just fine, right? And some of them went through horrific shit and saw horrific shit, but they were able to put that shit behind them, right? They didn't have that. They didn't have the need to always be trying to be a hero because they already did it. Nigga, I fought in World War II. I got 3 Purple Hearts. I got the Bronze Star. I captured Hitler. Yeah, we stormed the beach at Normandy. Yeah, we took, you know, we made the Emperor, we took the Emperor of Japan surrender and shit. Them dudes, World War II, and I'm telling you this because from my time in the Marine Corps, World War II veterans are the best. There's not a lot of them left, but they are the best veterans out there. They are so cool. They are the coolest old guys to talk to. I swear to God, they are the coolest old guys. Vietnam vets, not so much. Not saying that they have a very, I mean, whether it's justified or not, they have a different. Vietnam was not a good war for the U.S. They did not treat the soldiers well. Soldiers came back, they did not do well by them. So I guess they have a reason to feel bitter and underappreciated. I understand it, but it emanates out of their pores. World War II vets, not like that. They feel like they went over there, they did something great, they did a good thing, and it's what they did is down in history, and they just have a different way about them. And I just think that's what's missing. My point is, I think these men and these podcasts and all this shit that we all see as problematic and all this misogyny and all this, because they don't have anything. Who are they? They don't have anything they can point to. They don't have anything that can make them feel good. Like, even like, it gets on my nerves. Like, even this soft life shit. Like, they don't even, what, like, why, where's the men, and I know they're out there, but I'm saying, like, where are the men that are, like, out showing people how to chop wood? Where are the men that are out showing people how to, like, build a barn? It's like a woman will come on TikTok or whatever and be like, yeah, I like candles, soft girl life, whatever it is. And here will come a whole bunch of men behind, soft boy. Like, it's like they just sit there and whatever a girl does or a woman does, you're copying it. And that's your idea of, the bros do it too. Like, do you know how fucking lame and stupid you are right now? Or a 27-year-old man putting water in a vase and lighting a candle, talking about soft life like you doing something. Sir, if you don't go the fuck outside and figure out how to dig a ditch or chop some trees or build a goddamn lean-to or break up some shiffer ropes, sir, if you don't get out of here with this bullshit. And this is what they're all doing, and I'm telling you, it's because they need to go to war. You need to join the military, you need to do some push-ups, you need to do some running, you need to do something that can make them feel. And the reason why I say it's not sexist is because I'm not saying that that's what makes you a man. I'm saying that y'all have this need to feel like you doing something, it seems like. Because a woman can't step her foot out the door without you stepping your size 12 out the door too. Well, bitch, I can do it too. Men stepping out the door. You ain't shit. Like, y'all don't have a sense of self. You don't seem to have a sense of pride. You don't seem to have a sense of dignity and just don't seem to know who you are. Y'all are, a lot of you. And like everything on this podcast, if it don't apply, let it fly. I know it's not everybody, but I'm saying y'all know what I'm talking about. I get so tired of pulling up these TikToks and these Instagram reels with some nigga with some flowers and a Erykah Badu wrap on his head and a white linen shirt, sitting cross-legged with some incense, talking about soft boy life. Nigga, oh, boy, is the basement clear? Is there some boxes that you can stack up? It's snowing outside. Is the sidewalk shoveled? Okay, your mama got to come home from work because you in the basement. Did you put the salt down so she don't bust her ass coming up the steps? Like, please get out my face with this shit. I'm tired of it. So, that's what I think needs to be solved. And I don't know what it's going to take. I feel like we need, if y'all know, Joe Biden been trying to do it, but America's such a joke right now. They won't even kick insurrectionist congressmen out of Congress so we can get things done. So I don't know what's going to happen. But like, he's been trying to pass this infrastructure jobs program, and that's what I'm talking about. Stuff like that. Put these niggas to work. Hey man, we need bridges built. We need this bridge fixed. We need this dam built. Y'all need to be out here digging ditches, doing manual labor, pulling plows, leveling off sidewalks. You know what I'm saying? Trimming trees, fixing electrical work. Y'all need a purpose. So y'all can stop fucking trying to force women to lower themselves to your picayune standards. Because it's not going to happen. Okay? That's all I want to say. I feel like until we address that in the conversation, we ain't going nowhere. All right. So the other thing I want to talk about is, so recently on Twitter, some guy, listen, I know that I have my Twitter feed properly curated because a lot of the scandals and bullshit that people be talking about, I have no idea until somebody else is tweeting it or retweeting it. I don't be following these people. I don't be knowing this stuff. But apparently there's some dude that's a chef, part-time. I'm still not even really sure. But his real job is he's an ADA in, I think, Texas or Houston somewhere. Somebody, because, as is the way on Twitter, as soon as somebody gets a little popular or gets a little blow up, or maybe they see on TV, or maybe here come all these fucking bitch-ass haters want to dig up 15, 20-year-old tweets. I think that's bitch shit. I think that's nut shit. I think that it's just people who do that are the fucking biggest chump bitches in the world. Y'all are fucking punks. Y'all will never fucking keep that energy in person. Y'all a bunch of fucking losers. Y'all a fucking bunch of bums. Y'all a bunch of fucking lames. And that's that. However, this situation, apparently he was talking about dark-skinned girls, or listen, whatever. My opinion is not changed. Whatever somebody say on Twitter, if you find it offensive, like I said, if it ain't like, child porn or murder, if you not put, the ridiculous shit that you can't put on TL. If it ain't that, report them to fucking Twitter, get their account blocked, took off, let Twitter handle it, whatever. As far as y'all be going too far. That kitchen clown chick that all of y'all keep hyping up and rewriting the story, when she took down fraud, that girl was mad because that Darius dude, whatever you think of his food, I happen to think it's gross. He did everything in Henny and all that, but it don't matter. Just because I think it's gross and nasty doesn't mean that I need to jump out the window to get him off the TL because I don't like it. That's bitch shit. Who fucking does that? Y'all, somebody gonna find one of y'all one day and come and drive on y'all's fucking nose bone and smash it into your fucking cranium because y'all be doing too much behind Twitter. Who cares if you don't like him and his food? Just don't follow him. She was mad because the shit she was trying to get, the endorsements and the TV ads he was getting, and she felt like she should get it. So she started talking about his food. Oh my God, look at this, Henny Wings. And she was doing that for months and months, and everything she was doing wasn't working. He was still getting retweeted. Then she started calling, canceling his shit. And then I don't know how she found out. Maybe somebody hipped her. I don't know. She finally hit on this fraud thing. Like 6-7 months in. And my thing is, sis, you're not fooling me. If that's really what it was all about, you would have led with that. That's what wasn't what it was. You was jealous and you was mad. And that shit to me is crazy. And a lot of y'all do it. So they dig up this dark skin. He had like him and a whole bunch of other people. Now that's reprehensible. That's terrible. I'm not for like making fun. Listen, the whole dark skin, light skin thing, I don't know. It's a bigger deal to me. It seemed like a way bigger deal down south and wherever y'all are from, because like I've said many times, we just never had that kind of shit. I'm not talking about colorism, because again, like I said in another episode, that's a whole different thing. That's a systemic issue that's global and not what y'all be talking about half the time when y'all talking about colorism. Half the time, somebody, don't agree with what you say or tell you to shut the fuck up or just disagree with your opinion, and you want to say it's because you dark skin or because you light skin. That's bullshit. Okay? But he like, people were researching, he was saying that shit about dark skin. But my thing is this, and this got a little caveat because it's a little wrinkle to this, and I'm gonna tell you in a second. These people kept retweeting this. Somebody called his job. Again, to me, once you jump off Twitter, again, unless somebody's committing a crime or confessing to a crime or, I don't know, putting something illegal on the timeline, like I said, jumping off of Twitter with anything that's on Twitter, you're doing the most. They done jumped off Twitter, found his job, reported him to this job. Turns out he's an assistant district attorney. Now, here's what I will say. As a public servant, as an assistant district attorney, things like that can be relevant. Because if you can show that, okay, look, this guy's tweets, he showed, I don't know, you could use that, some defendant could use that to argue that he has a bias or he's racist or he doesn't like dark skinned girls, and I'm dark skinned and I committed a shoplifting and he asked for me to go to jail for 2 years, but everybody else who's ever got arrested for shoplifting in this county gets a fine and like probation, but he sent me to jail for 2 years and it's because I'm dark skinned, and the proof is here's these tweets, he has a bias. Like, somebody could get their case overturned for that. So that's the little wrinkle that I'm like, okay, I see the argument. There, you can make that, something like that can actually lead to, because it could be true. If that was a white man on there tweeting about how he ain't like black people and niggas and he got caught, it would be the same thing. Hey, this man is racist. Look, he has all these tweets. He's racist. Or he putting all these black people in jail. He put me in jail longer, or he put me in jail, period, because I'm black. That's a legit thing. So I understand that part of it. And I see why maybe that was done, but the thing about it is, y'all on Twitter, y'all always luck up into a point. Like the 1 or 2 times y'all have a point, y'all luck up into it. That don't be what y'all be going for. Y'all originally just be mad because somebody on Twitter said something you ain't like, offended you, triggered you, got away with, or just you feel a way about, and now y'all want to fucking go jump out and calling people's jobs. And what I'm saying is that's, except for in this case, it's a little different. I get it, but that's not what y'all found out by accident. Nigga was at ADA. Y'all was just mad about his cooking. I just think it's too far. I just think y'all be taking Twitter way too far. If you on there and somebody's talking about dark skinned women, you have a right to be offended, but you can just like report that tweet as racist, whatever little categories they got. You can unfollow that person and you can block everybody else over there, and you can just keep that shit out of your spear. Calling up somebody job down to Wendy's and trying to get them fired from flipping burgers because somebody tweeted something against dark skinned girls on Twitter. To me, that's doing too much, and y'all gonna find the right one day, and just like you found them on the internet and found where they work and maybe where they live, they gonna find you on the internet, find out where you work, and somebody gonna come up there and go upside one of y'all heads for doing too much. That's all I'm saying. But this particular case, I get the argument. He is. Listen, you can make that argument. If I was somebody, I would make that argument. Your Honor, I'm brown skinned, and I feel like he gave me all this time and all these charges because of it, and he ain't give Becky over here or light skinned Molly over here, light skinned Lisa, not even half of that time, and clearly because he don't like me because of my skin complexion. Like, that's a legit thing, and I don't know if he's gonna lose his job. He done claimed. They said again, I'm not following this secondhand through people retweeting, but apparently he claimed he was an alcoholic and all that shit, and that's what it was. But I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know though. Like, that's dangerous because again, it could lead to all your cases getting looked in, and DA officers don't like that, so they might be like, "Hey, you got to go, bro." Like, we understand you claiming you changed now, but like, hey, what's done is done, and like this is a legit argument that somebody can use, and we not going through no cases because your ass was on Twitter calling people darkies. I'm so sorry. You have to go. Right? So that's all I want to say on that. I still stand by what I say. I think y'all a bitch made when y'all do that. I think y'all need to cut that shit the fuck out. I think somebody gonna try that shit because they literally be doing too much. Like, somebody tell somebody shut the fuck up on here, or you stupid bitch up on here, and then niggas be on time like, ha, I found his, like, when it first happened, they were no, was that him? It was somebody else, I think, that said something to somebody ain't like, and they found out that he had like a record for something, and so they was like, ha, I reported you to the bar. And I was like, the bar probably already knows that, because when you apply for once you pass the bar, you have to do like your moral character and all that shit. And it's pretty intense. I'm doing it for California right now. It's a pain in the ass because they be wanting you to go back your whole life. And I'm like, nigga, can we get a 10-year cutoff or something? My whole fucking life? But they be wanting you to go far, far back, right? And so, and then you can't leave nothing out. So if anything's, any kind of traffic ticket or anything that's going to come up in a search, you need to put that in there. So I was like, it's not a bar from you getting, listen, the legal profession, you'd be surprised the shit that they will allow you to, have been convicted of or confessed to or whatever. You would be surprised. It was more than I thought. The bar is more concerned with like, with you like not telling them, like, you got a drunk driving conviction, you just left it out. But if you be like, hey, I got a drunk driving conviction, it was 5 years ago, I completed my court order, whatever they do, what is it, Alcohol Anonymous, whatever the fuck they make you do, I completed, I got my certificate, that's not gonna bar you. Really what the bar be concerned with is like, because you're a lawyer, you're a fiduciary sometimes, or you're in a position of trust with your client, like stuff like stealing. Really what the bar really be kicking people out or disbarring people for is like taking client funds, having like inappropriate relations with clients. Like, you can't offer to represent a client if they'll get into a relationship. Now, if it's consensual, that's different. But like, you can't say, I'm not going to represent you. I charge $5,000 an hour. You can't afford it, but if you have sex with me, then I'll do it for free. You can't do that type of stuff. It's mainly money shit that'll really get you in trouble. Money shit, like not keeping clients' funds in trust, or dipping into client funds, embezzlement, money laundering. But other shit that'll get you in trouble with the bars, like bringing frivolous claims, or like because believe it or not, the law takes that very seriously. I brought this up because the attorney for Nicki Minaj's husband, who just went through court trying to get his name removed from the sex offenders list because according to him it was a mistake and blah blah blah. That's fine. He can say what he wants, but you're either on the sex offenders list or you're not. You got convicted of something that is an offense that they have said, okay, this offense gets you on sex offense. That's a fact. That's not a matter of opinion. So the lawyer who tried to do that is in trouble now because the court does not like you bringing, lawyers are not allowed to bring frivolous claims to the court or try to argue things that they know, that the lawyer themselves know to not be true. So you can't put a client on the stand if you know he's going to lie. You're not allowed to do that. Courts takes that stuff very seriously. So this lawyer's in trouble because he brought this charge, and the court is like, sir, what all y'all are talking about has no bearing on this case. This man was convicted of this offense. It is on his record. Part of his deal that he made was that he would go on the sex offenders list. So that's it. There was no, we don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to litigate the case now, talking about the girl wasn't really this age and that age. That's already been settled. We don't know what you're talking about. And you, sir, are an attorney. Why would you bring this before our court? So he might be in a little bit of trouble. The bar takes shit like that serious. But that other stuff that y'all be thinking that they do, they kind of don't. You could be on all kind of drugs and shit. As long as you go to rehab, as long as you admit it, and you go to rehab and do what they want you to do, they won't disbar you. They'll be like, okay, well, look, people have drug problems because you know why? Because it's a predominantly white, male, upper class profession, and who do we know be on alcohol and drugs up the ass? White male. So that's why those type of things are not seen as bad as, like, you know, stealing from clients and shit like that. So, you know, that's my whole opinion on that. I know a lot of people disagree. That's fine. Like I always tell y'all, this is my podcast. Y'all can give y'all opinions on y'all's. That's mine. Okay, so moving on. So what I really want to talk about, which is the Golden Globes. And the reason why I was ready to record this podcast a little earlier, but I wanted to take my time because I wanted to really, really, really be clear in what I'm mad about. Because I tweeted some stuff out the night it happened, and I stand by them tweets, but I saw other people's tweets, and I saw the conversation around it, and it was people taking a lot of different angles, and I just want to be clear on what the fuck I'm saying. Okay, Gerard Carmichael hosted the Golden Globes. Now, for me personally, the jury is still out for me on Gerard Carmichael. I loved his special, Rothaniel. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was, I thought he was very open. I thought he was very vulnerable. I thought he took a big risk. I thought that special was amazing. I cannot take that away from him. I thought it was brilliant, okay? Not saying it made me a big fan of him per se, but I thought that was brilliant. I saw him host SNL. I used to try to watch his little, he had a little sitcom. It didn't do it for me. He's like I said, the jury is still out. His style of comedy, I saw an earlier special he did before Rothaniel. His style, I'll just say it like this, his style of comedy is not for me. I like a dry comedy, but not like that dry. I like a dry comedy like a, I'm trying to think of style of dry comedy I like. I like Chris Rock. He's not dry comedy, but I like Chris Rock. I know y'all, Chris Rock's the enemy now, whatever. I think Chris Rock is funny. I don't think Chris Rock be doing the coolness that y'all claim he do. I think y'all just don't like Chris Rock because Will Smith smacked him and the response that he got. I get that, but listen, I have said it before and I'll say it again. Chris Rock took that as best as he could. He's a grown man. He got slapped by another grown man on live TV. First of all, he ate it. He didn't get knocked out. I'm sure them white people was in there trying to get the police call. You know, oh my God, we got to call police. That's a great. Chris was like, no, we're not doing none of that. It's okay. We're going to work it out. I'm sure I don't know if him and Will the best of friends, but I'm sure that they squat. I feel like, this is my opinion, Chris is a Brooklyn nigga. And I feel like Chris was like, all right, look, he's an old school Brooklyn nigga. I think Chris was like, oh shit, I talked about his wife, he slapped me in my mouth. Because that's what happens. Like, he's from Brooklyn. Yo, if you say the wrong shit to the wrong person, you might get slapped. And I think Chris, that's how he took it. Like, oh shit, this nigga fucking slapped me. Like, I didn't think it was that serious, but this nigga popped me in my mouth. You know, that's how I think Chris took it. And so look, A lot of people had a lot of things to say. All I'm going to say is a lot of people that was calling Chris a coon and a sellout and a this and a that, had Will Smith went up there and slapped them like that. First of all, their asses would have been spread out on that fucking stage because they ain't never got punched in their mouth before. And that shit would have knocked them the fuck out. And they would have been not even off the stage trying to call the police and press charges and on a press tour and make themselves. They would have tried to come up off that shit like Jussie tried to come up off of that fake attack. Like a lot of people. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I think if Chris won, I think Will was wrong. I think the response to what Will did was a little out of hand, but I mean, not really. I mean, honestly, I don't really think the response to him was that bad. Y'all act like this punishment he got was what? He got banned from the Oscars. Nigga, you slap somebody on stage, of course you got banned from the Oscars. But they ain't really stopped nothing. Will Smith is still a Hollywood. He put Emancipation out, which was good. Like, come on, man. It's all about money. Nobody's banning Will Smith from no movie, right? So, that is why Gerard's, his host, the nigga annoyed me. And I'm going to tell you why. So the intro monologue that everybody went up for, here's my thing. And I'm not going to get on him for the reasons that a lot of other, I've seen people going at him. I think they just don't like him. Here's what I'm going to say. I got what he was saying. I just feel like the Golden Globes are the award shows that everybody knows they are usually the most goofy ones, the most did you hear what happened ones, because that's the ones they're the least formal. The celebrities go, they drink. We all know those are the ones where they get the most loose, right? The Golden Globes, like they're the least, I won't say prestigious, but like they're the least stuffy between the Grammys, the Emmys. The Golden Globes are the one where you know, the celebrities show up, they sitting around the table, they drinking, they drunk. We all know that. It's a jovial atmosphere. And I feel like he came in and brought the energy way down. And with the whole, even with the monologue about the show being racist and why they brought in them. You could have made that funny though, dude. Like Kevin Hart, who's not even my favorite comedian, he does that stuff and it's funny. He makes a joke out of it. He wasn't doing that. He was bringing it way down. And not for nothing, I don't like, and I'm going to get into this more, Gerard was teetering that line, and some of y'all going to know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all might not. If y'all not black, y'all not going to pick up on what I'm saying. I don't like when black comedians tell too much black business to white people. And I feel like when he was talking to his friend and she said, take them white people's money, I feel like you don't, there's certain things that we don't really say in mixed company. Absolutely. Every black person knows that they tell you take the white people, but I feel like you don't say that in mixed company because it takes a nuance, right? And black people know what you're saying when you say that, but a white people will hear, oh, well, niggers, if we offer enough money, we can get them to do anything. That's what they hear. And so that's why you got to be careful. That's not what he was saying. What he was saying is, hey, man, if they're going to pay you all that money, if they got in trouble for being there, not having no black people and being super white, and now they trying to fix it and scramble and have all the blacks all up in the place, everybody black. If they want to pay you $500,000, go ahead, take that money and do this. That's what it is. But like, you gotta be careful when you say that shit about the kind of white people who get in trouble for not having, because then they think that, they're gonna take the white people money. All right, well, you know, I was like, I don't like that. So I didn't like that. I got what you were saying, but I just thought his tone was too serious. His tone was too dry. Even when he kept coming out like, oh my gosh, settle down. What that nigga? What the fuck? First of all, you are new here. You got all these black stars, and you got Cheryl Lee Ralph, Eddie Murphy, Quinta Brunson, Rihanna, Angela Davis, Courtney, what's Courtney last name? Vance, all these great black stars and other people in the audience, and you tell us settle down. Like, nigga, what you at? You think you a kindergarten teacher? Like, nigga, go out there, shut the fuck up, do your thing. The pacing back and forth was annoying because the reason why the people weren't settling down, because you in a room full of stars, you in a room full of legends, and they know, because they act themselves, and some of them have hosted themselves, they know that the host is supposed to stand center. And that's when the show, so when they see you pacing back and forth, that's the time to still be chatting and talking and clapping or whatever, because you're not on your spot where you're supposed to be. So if you go stand on your goddamn spot, they would be quiet, right? So that was annoying me. The pacing was annoying me because the camera going back, it was very annoying. The camera going back, and you could tell because after a while, the camera would zoom out so they didn't have to follow them. That was very annoying. And that's something that you do on your comedy special. That's cool. We know that on your comedy special, but you host it, go stand. This is why he was irritating me, because it gave, I'm going to come in, it gave contrarianism to me. It gave, I'm going to come in and I'm going to go against all the grains. I'm going to do, because, you know, they only got me here because I'm the black guy. And they trying to, so let me just go in and I'm going to pace back. I'm going to do all this shit that make everybody uncomfortable, make the white. And listen, you make the white people uncomfortable, niggas. Y'all are a cottage industry. I get it. But the rest of us don't really give a shit about that. What I saw was a black comedian up there sucking all the air and all the energy out of room for all these black creatives who were there for their things that were long overdue. And instead of being congratulatory and edifying these people, you in there trying to be edgy for the white folks. You in there trying to upset the white folks. You in there trying to make the white people uncomfortable. And that's what we say. What those of us who say that y'all are just obsessed with white people, that's what we mean. Bro, you had an opportunity to be in there and really give these people they do, hype these people up, talk about how great they were, how long overdue it was. Like, to me, that's how you could have spent it. Like, yeah, finally, we have the black actors in the room who deserve to. Finally, we're going to honor Angela Davis. Finally, because, y'all only want to do, like, he could have spun what he was saying, but he kept trying to bring it down. I didn't like that. I didn't like the sitting on the steps. Like, nigga, come on. You doing too much. Okay? The Will Smith, the what do you call it? Scientology, Shelly Miscavige joke. I mean, whatever. Again, he's trying to be edgy. He's trying to shock. To me, that was really late and really old. Because, listen, if you want to know anything about Scientology, Leah Remini, she got it. She did it down. She did a documentary. She's on their case. She on their asses. She not going to let her heel up until they find Shelly Miscavige or her grave or whatever. So, like, it's kind of old. It's kind of stale. It wasn't, again, he was just, what can I say that's going to shock people? What can I, and it was just like, bro, you doing all this, but you taking away from these people's moments. You taking away from these people who are about to get these awards, who deserve these awards. And yeah, we know they trying to make up for, but whatever. It don't matter what they trying to do. The fact is, these people deserve these awards and they past due. And you too busy worrying about upsetting the white people. That's why I didn't like it. But that joke, whatever. I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. It was fun. I just thought it was a little old, a little late. Like, girl, Leah done that to death. That Scientology shit dead. Like, we get it. The lady dead. We ain't never gonna see her again. Like, we got it. I really, 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 really did not like, and listen, let me tell you something else. I am so tired of every time something like this happens, or some comedian tells a joke, or something, there's some controversy about something, and here come a whole train full of niggas talking about, well, you gotta understand, that's his type of comedy, he's a provocateur, he's a this, he's a that. Look, nigga, I went to college and professional and everything too. I passed all the tests. I got the IQ points to prove it. I got the grades. I'm not no dumb nigga. I'm not the smartest in the world, but I'm not no dumb nigga. Y'all not the smartest in the world either. None of y'all are geniuses. None of y'all are that bright that y'all are getting something that I'm not getting. Y'all are have the solid understanding of something that's going over my head. I understand that he's a provocateur. I understand his type of comedy. I understand what he was trying to do. That don't mean that it worked. And that don't mean that it was appropriate. And that don't mean that it was funny. People telling me, oh, well, he was taking a knock on the Beverly. I understand that he was taking a knock on the Beverly. I got the joke. I'm not an idiot. I know what he was trying to say. I don't understand why he had to bring Whitney Houston in it. Why does First of all, I'm tired of you motherfuckers making jokes about Whitney Houston. It's not fucking funny. Whitney Houston died tragically. We all know she was one of our she is a once in a never again talent. She was one of, if you weren't around, you might need to go see the movie that's in the theaters now. Y'all motherfuckers don't understand how big Whitney Houston was. A lot of you niggas want to talk this Bobby Brown shit. Well, Bobby Brown could not touch the hem of the garment of Whitney Houston's career, okay? And that was his motherfucking problem. She was a huge, huge, huge star. Michael Jackson, Madonna, Whitney Houston, huge. Whitney was bigger than Janet. And Janet was pretty big, okay? Enormous, through the stratosphere. The world stopped when she died. That's how big she was, okay? They had that shit on the news all day. They had her funeral on the news all day. That's the level that she was, okay? And I'm tired of the jokes, and I'm tired of disrespect, okay? We all know that Whitney Houston died in the Beverly Hilton. We don't need you to bring her name up, number one. Number two, you know, it really, really irritates me when black people do that shit, because we always do that shit to our... Not Michael Jackson as much, but Whitney takes it, and I don't understand it. Because you know who else died of a drug overdose on the toilet? Elvis Presley. Rest in peace, Lisa Marie, that just passed a couple days ago. Rest in peace. Elvis Presley. You know who else died in a hotel of a drug overdose? Janis Joplin. You know who else died in a hotel of a drug overdose? Jimi Hendrix, the dude from The Doors. A whole bunch of great white artists had tragic endings, very similar to Whitney. Do you ever hear white people address them in that way? They never talk about Janis Joplin died in the hotel. Janis Joplin, never. It's always Janis Joplin, the great Janis Joplin. Elvis Presley, king of rock and roll. They revere them. They talk about them with the respect they have. They should, with the great talent they have, with the great things that they gave to us, and with their art and their creativity. You never hear white people. Amy Winehouse, we all know how she died. You never hear them refer to their stars like that. But everybody got a joke about Whitney Houston. Everybody got a joke about Michael Jackson. I'm sick of that shit. Whitney Houston deserves respect because, first of all, as big of a star as she was, she never stopped rooting for you fucking niggas that could not touch the hem of her garment. Whenever she always showed love to you young, even the fucking Bobby Brown, she always showed young love to the young black artists. When she was up on that stage giving you an award and you won, she was cheering loudest for you. When you didn't win and you were supposed to, she made her displeasure known. She was always rooting for you niggas. And she carved the way, paved the way, whether you know it or not, for all of you niggas to be at these shows and winning these awards. And the way y'all disrespect her, I'm sick of it. Whitney Houston been dead 10 fucking years. Okay, actually, yes, 10 years. She died in 2012. Her name should not still be coming up. All these niggas that been dropping dead of these drug overdoses since then, and actually, she didn't even technically overdose. She died of complications. She took some drugs and because she had a heart problem as a cumulative effect of her drug abuse. She had a heart problem and she drowned in the tub, but it wasn't like she OD'd. It was drug related, but it wasn't an OD. She actually had a heart attack and drowned in the tub caused by it. Okay, but all these niggas that have literally OD'd and dropped dead off these drugs since then, why is Whitney Houston still the one y'all talking about? Why does she get in all this? I don't understand why y'all have to keep bringing her up. I'm tired of it. She don't deserve disrespect. She paved the way for all of y'all, gave all of y'all props. She was an amazing woman, and unfortunately, she wasn't able to live her truth like you were, Gerard, like you just did. And so it kind of tore her down, okay, and led to her tragic demise. She ain't the first, she won't be the last, and I would expect somebody like you, that could have been you, nigga, because you sat up there on that stage in your special and talked about your struggle and how much of a relief it was for you. Why you gotta joke? Why you gotta bring Whitney Houston into? You could have made your little. I get what you saying. Oh, this is the hotel that Whitney Houston died in. Y'all kept having a party and blah blah blah. I get that. I get what you saying, but like, leave Whitney Houston out of it. I'm tired of it. She need to be revered for what she was, one of the great, brightest stars ever. And don't let these white people carry your water for you. Because what Gerard is giving me, and like I said, the jury is still out on him. But what he's giving me is one of these, a lot of y'all black gays, y'all get y'all little stardom, or y'all get out there to Hollywood or whatever, y'all get about them white gays. And white gays, it's a whole different thing. They're very irreverent. They think it's okay to laugh and make jokes and call Whitney a crackhead and all this bullshit because they are resentful of our excellence, and they are resentful of shit like everybody on that Rolling Stone best singer list that got everybody in a tizzy. Everybody in the top goddamn 10 and probably 15 was black because we the best and we the greatest, and we gave everything, all the culture and all the fly shit to this country, and goddamn right we on the top 10. They resent that shit. And so that's why they try to tear down Michael Jackson. That's why they try to tear down Whitney Houston, because they can't stand that the greatest, the best that America has to offer, that take over the world, that take American culture over the world, are black people. That's why. Okay, and y'all get around them and y'all start doing that shit, thinking that's, these white gays, they're very snarky, and let me tell you, and they think that shit is funny. It might be funny in your community, but in our community, that shit'll get you slapped, right? You don't come around us with some of them little jokes like that y'all be telling. It's certain people we don't disrespect, regardless of how you think about Michael Jackson, whether you think he did it, whether you think he didn't do it, whatever the fuck you think about him. You don't come around black people talking crazy about Michael Jackson at all. Okay, you just don't do it. Whitney, Aretha, it's certain people that we just understand, we revere, and yeah, they had problems, and yeah, they might have had, drug issues and other things, but so did y'all people. So you talk about your own folks, don't talk about us, because we not unique in that area. And so that's what was tapping on my nerves about Gerard, because it's like, Gerard, you giving you out there with them white gays, and you trying to be provocative, and you're doing it in a very immature way, because you're really just trying to be the snarky black guy who tells the white jokes that makes the white people uncomfortable. Meanwhile, you also disrespecting and making all the black people in that room to get their things uncomfortable. It's people in that room that knew Whitney Houston personally, and when he told that joke, that place was silent. You heard a few gasps, but that was silent, right? When he told the Will Smith joke, same thing. And I ain't like the Will Smith joke either, because number one, the Will Smith joke, that slap is old. The American public, I feel, most of us, Hollywood's still trying to make that thing a thing. The media's still trying to make that thing a thing. But I think most people was like, well, it was a little shocking. Can't believe he did it. But hey, whatever, it's over with now. Yeah, he slapped him, he didn't die. Basically, I think most people are like, it's still Will Smith. We not gonna not stop watching his movies. Chris Rock gonna be just fine too. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like that shit really shocked the kind of people who think that they could just say whatever, or used to just saying whatever they want to say and not getting popped in their mouth. All the rest of us who know, if you say certain shit, if you talk about people's wives, kids, mamas, and you might get punched in the mouth. Maybe that person took it too far. Maybe it might not have been all that, but hey, that's why you don't talk about people's mama, because you never know. So I thought it was just, why you bringing it up? Then talking about, oh yeah, Will, you're real masculine. Like, look, y'all can say what y'all want about Will. I don't think, and I've heard people say, oh, he only did that. I don't really think so. Listen, I know, like I've told you before, I know people who know Will Smith. I went to high school with people who know Will well. Will is very well known in Philly before he blew up, before he was a freshman. People know Will. I'm telling y'all here right now, Will Smith ain't no punk, okay? And Will Smith is not the type of dude that's going to walk up on stage and slap somebody because he know they're not going to slap him back. Chris may very well slap him back. Thank God Chris didn't. Again, giving him credit, because they could very well have been scrapping on that stage. Would have been a fucking nightmare. But he didn't. Will Smith just... listen, I watched it live. Those of us who watched it live, we saw, when somebody snap and they get angry, it's a certain, I can't explain it, but it's a certain way people just, it's like something take over their body. They just even walk different. Their energy be different. I can't explain what it is. That's when Will got up out that seat and walked up to that stage and slapped that nigga. And when he came and sat back down, he was still angry. Because when he was like, keep my wife's name out your mother, he was still angry. Like, the nigga was mad. He slapped him. I don't think it was none of that. About he not gonna hit me back or none of that shit. I just think in the moment, he just snapped. And so, Gerard, first of all, the shit is old. Again, why you bringing this up? Because we already sensitive about the way white people was trying to cancel Will, and you in a room full of people who know Will really well. Because Will is a number one Hollywood earner. Don't get it fucked up. And you just got here. Okay? You did a little nice special. That's nice. You hosted SNL. That's nice. But you just got here, nigga. You, Eddie Murphy, Angela Bassett, all these people, they know Will Smith. Some of them work with Will Smith. They've known Will Smith for a very long time. And they not here for jokes. You trying to, imply that, he was doing this shit to show off. Like, that shit was for the white people. That shit was for the white boys, and it just don't do it. Again, on a night where you had these black people trying to get the things that they should have gotten. I didn't like it, okay? Number one. Number two, but who I did like, and Eddie Murphy, who a lot of y'all compare yourselves to, but y'all gotta understand, a lot of these new black comedians, for whatever reason, the Dave Chappelle's, the whoever's, they like to carry the white man's water. They want to be in a room with the white man. They think the white man's ice is cold. They want to be just like these white men in the press. But so they carry a lot of their water. Y'all say Chris Rock do that. I disagree. I'm not going to argue down. I don't think Chris Rock does that. I'm a long-time Chris Rock fan. Chris Rock been telling them jokes since day one. Before he even blew up, he been telling them jokes. And when I think of a coon, when I think of somebody who I call a coon, and I know y'all didn't see it, but it was a really good movie, but it just had a lot of gloom and doom around it. When Sparkle came out with Whitney, the character that Mike Epps played in that movie, he played this comedian that was like famous, but he was famous because he would play all white audiences, and he would basically talk about black people, call them lazy, call them whatever, and the white people would sit in there and laugh, right? There was no black people in there. When I talk about a coon comedian, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of black person that would get up on stage and say racist shit that white people, they don't want to say themselves, but they feel like they have, if you say it, then it validates what they're saying, and oh, the black guy is going to say our racist shit. We're not going to say our racist shit. I don't think Chris Rock does that. Y'all might disagree with me. I don't think he does. People start talking about his hair special. I saw the hair special. I didn't think that was denigrating black women at all. I think he was just trying to show how black women have this obsession with the creamy crack. I think when I remember when that shit first came out, it was well received. I think it's funny how after Will Smith slapped him, now all of a sudden people wanted to go revive it, and it turned into this hate film for black women in their hair. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, but Eddie Murphy, who you guys all compare yourselves to, who was one of the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the biggest black comedian ever. None of the rest of y'all have ever reached that height, ever will, ever been that funny. Ever. We was little kids, 11, 12, not even supposed to be in the theater watching Delirious, watching Raw, sneaking in, watching that too, because he was hilarious, okay? Never did that. If you look back at Eddie's career, he never did that. And the other thing that Eddie has done is he used to, get in trouble. He used to make the gay jokes. We all know him. We all seen him. Listen, sorry, the shit about the faggot showing up in L.A., with the guy doing the siren, hilarious. I'm so sorry. To this day, that joke is fucking funny. But I know the case got mad. They said, he's like, when he was in Hollywood, you can't make fun of the gay guys because the gay police will come get you. And he was like, it won't even be a siren. They'll just have one gay guy going, woo, woo. Nigga, that's funny. I don't care. But anyway, he got, he had a little issue. The gays had a little issue with Eddie. But Eddie apologized. Eddie later, he was like, yo, I was younger. I realize now, like, a lot of them jokes I told wasn't cool. That's, if gay people exist, blah, blah, blah. He apologized. It's a lot of comedians out to this day right now never can carry Eddie water that's still telling gay jokes and faggot jokes and trans jokes and just doubling down and just refusing to even acknowledge just everybody's sensitive or whatever, right? So Eddie Murphy never did that. If you look at his career, every movie he made, and somebody said, well, not Beverly Hills Cop and Trading Places. No, those were earlier films when he was building his career. He starred in those films. At that point, he wasn't producing or directing. They weren't his ideas. They weren't his movies. He was starring in them. So, no. But once he starting with Coming to America, Eddie Murphy produced Eddie Murphy. All of his movies are all black cast, predominantly black cast. Coming to America, Harlem Nights, Life, I'm forgetting a whole bunch. All the what do you call it? Nutty Professors and the Norbits and what's the one he's talking to the animals? Is that Nutty Professor? Yeah, no. Is that Nutty Professor talking to the animals? Whatever. All his movies been black cast, predominantly black or all black. I can't think of no other black comedian out now who is in a movie who had that kind of say in a movie and had an all black cast. Not one. Every Eddie Murphy movie, all black cast, making sure people were black women in those movies, all complexions in those movies. Eddie Murphy. So a lot of y'all be trying to compare yourself to Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy never carried the white man's water. Eddie Murphy, at every chance he got, I remember when Boomerang came, that's the other one, when Boomerang came out, he was doing the talk show circuit, and he would always be asked, they were like, oh, well, a lot of people think this is not realistic because of all black company. And Eddie was like, well, a lot of people are ignorant because it's all kind of HBCUs and it's all kind of companies where black people run. And anyway, why is a company when y'all have all these movies with all white people and nobody say nothing, but when I have a company, it's all black people? So Eddie Murphy never carried the white man's water. He always kept it real. He'd be on stage like, hey, you know, he never let Hollywood play him, is what I'm trying to say. And a lot of you new niggas that be trying to compare yourself to Eddie Murphy be letting Hollywood play y'all at every turn. And Gerard, you looking like you might be leaning into that. Again, jury is still out because you still new. Okay? And I feel like you really was trying to come in and make a bang and make a shock and be controversial, and I understand that's your style, but that you didn't need to do that to host the Golden Globes. You were shitting on a lot of people in that room that shouldn't have been shitted on. And so since we're talking about Eddie Murphy and his genius, and I think he's a genius, I think his speech was very interesting because I think white people heard that speech a lot different than black people, and even black people of a certain age, because a lot of these younger folks ain't really get what Eddie was saying either. But what I heard from Eddie's speech when he got up there and he said, listen, I've been in this business a long time, and the secret to my success that I have always followed, and he said pay your taxes, and we all know that because many a Red Fox, many a person has been, you know, canceled by the IRS. Pay your taxes. And he said, mind your business. And mind your business was to Gerard Carmichael, because what he was saying was, you bringing up this Will Smith shit, talking about trying, you know, with the little masculine dig. He took a dig at Will, trying to say that, you know, oh, you was trying to do that to show you a manly man, which is what a lot of white people were saying. I'm like, I don't really think that that's what that was about. I think he just was sick of Chris talking about his wife. I really do. That's what I think it was about. Now, was it doing too much? Yes. Was he wrong? Yes. But I really think he was like, I told this, he did a Cardi B. I told this motherfucker, if he say my wife's name one more motherfucking time, that's what I think that was. White men don't know nothing about that, because white men will let you call their wife a bitch, a hoe, and all ugly, and all kind of shit, and won't do a fucking thing. They don't defend their wife from shit. So they might not understand that, but I understood it. He said, mind your business. He was talking to Gerard, because Gerard, you talking about Will, which all of us in here know and are good friends with. We just met you. You said your little fucking, and the reason you know that that's what he was saying, because his next thing was, and keep my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth. And he said that because an old nigga, what that means was, Will did what he did. He meant what he said. They all apologized and they squashed it now. But you're not going to come up here all these months later and try to play Will like he was doing some other shit. He punched Chris in the face. I'm friends with Will and Chris, which he is. They squashed it. It's squashed. It is what it is. Will took his punishment. Chris is going to be fine. And you don't need to be bringing that shit back up here in front of these white people, because if you don't watch your mouth, you might get punched in it. That's what Eddie was saying. If you didn't pick up on that, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you, that's what he was saying. When a black man tell you to mind your business, he talking to you, bro, because number one, the Whitney joke, fine, but you bringing up Will. Will is a superstar. Will is one of the biggest star. Will might be a bigger movie star than me, Eddie Murphy, or equal. Okay, and you got Angela Bassett in here, you got all these people in here, you just got here. Don't be going at Will Smith, bro. That's what he was telling him. Mind your business. Do your little jokes, say your little monologue, mind your business. And you know that that's what he said, because the next thing he said, and people are like, oh, he made a slap joke. That wasn't a slap joke. That was to Gerard. Hey, bruh, mind your business. And Will said what he said, and we moving on, and we don't really give a fuck about it, okay? And you gonna stop bringing that shit up in front of these white people trying to get jokes at Will's expense. That's what that was. So, that's my take. I thought he was a terrible host, because I thought he was too busy trying to, again. And there was people online defending him. Oh, I thought he was wonderful. He's in there making... Like, y'all motherfuckers keep y'all heads so thoroughly up white people's assholes that that's all y'all can see. You don't see that these black people are in here. Quinta won fucking best actress, best show. All of these people winning. Tyler James winning. I keep calling everybody loves Chris. Like, all these black people was getting these awards that the whole point of having you host and the whole point of them being canceled was they weren't showing love to. Now here we are finally here to celebrate them. And shout out to Ryan Murphy. Because Ryan Murphy, who y'all hate, but I don't have a problem with. got up on stage, and in my opinion, he took the energy where it needed to be, because he was like, no, we gonna shout out my gays, because y'all, this dude, I don't know what the fuck he talking about, it got canceled. He was like, no, it didn't get canceled. He said they didn't show it, and because they didn't show it, my girl over here, Blanca, I don't know her, Michelle MJ Rodriguez, she got an award, but nobody got to see it because they didn't want to air the fucking shit. And so, no, she gonna stand up right now. And Niecy Nash here, who everybody told her she wanted to marry her partner, and everybody told her she shouldn't do it, she not gonna have a career, and she did it anyway, and we made this wonderful film, Dahmer, together, that all y'all up in arms about, but whatever, it was really good. And he just went around the room and pointed people out and gave them their flowers and gave them their shine, and that's what Gerard should have been doing, instead of worrying about making the white people uncomfortable, because y'all keep y'all heads so far up motherfucking white people's ass, and your whole fucking world revolves around them, whether you know it or not. You trying to be so super black, but you not, because everything you do is gained around their acceptance, or making them uncomfortable, making them see you. It's not good enough for you to be in there with them black people and get them black people they shine, and for you to shine. No, it's got to do. If the white people don't acknowledge you, or if they're not upset, then you're not doing it. And I'm sick of that. I don't like y'all niggas. And Gerard, if that's gonna be the type of nigga you is, I'm not gonna like you with it either, because I ain't like it. And I thought Ryan Murphy it was so great. Like, he was like, nope, I'm shouting out all my gays, and not only just a shout out, I'm gonna tell you why they great, and I'm gonna tell you why MJ deserved to be on camera, and y'all not gonna play us. And I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing, and I particularly like what he said about Niecy, because this is what I be saying, man. It's 2022, man. Stop letting these motherfuckers scare y'all into the closet and making y'all think y'all can't be yourselves. It can't be, like, it's bullshit. It's millions and millions and millions and millions of gay people out here looking for representation, looking for, hey, we exist. Why do y'all have to keep acting like we not sending these gay performers with their little fake boyfriend? Why are y'all doing that? Whose career is going to be ended at this point? There are gay people who will support these people, and everybody else will come along. Like, I thought Ryan Murphy was like a bright spot. I was so glad I'm like, thank you, because I feel like people in that room were looking at Gerard like, hey, bro, we don't know what you're doing here, but this is not your comedy special, and you trying to make points. We're not really sure what you're trying to do here, but you fucking up the mood, and it's not the atmosphere for it. And so I'm gonna come up here, and I'm gonna make sure that the people who are supposed to be celebrated tonight are getting celebrated. And I thought it was great, and I thought it was amazing, and that's all I gotta say. They wasted Rihanna's time. Whatever that song won for, whatever, bitch, don't nobody know that fucking song, and ain't nobody see that fucking movie. Black Panther 3 was the biggest movie of the year. The Rihanna song was at a great point. It's a beautiful song. Y'all wasted her time, but whatever. That's all I gotta say. That's it. It's episode, I don't know if I said at the beginning, it's episode 328. Thanks for asking. First of the new year. Again, thank y'all for listening. Like me, rating me, telling your friends, and all of that. And see y'all next week. Peace.